Hello folks, and welcome back to the channel. It's been a few months since our last video, mostly because we've been busy fine-tuning and updating the Slamfire 28 beta rules. We're now up to version 1.5, and we've also launched a Patreon page, skirmishhomebrews.com, with rulebook and scenario PDFs, how to play videos, discussion forums, and other fun stuff. So if you'd like to get your hands on the latest version of Slamfire 28, along with the current crew and scenario sheets, you can find them at Skirmish Homebrews. Today's new Slamfire 28 scenario is cheekily entitled Tench Capades. You may have observed that alt history World War I games seem to be all the rage at the moment. There are actually several current and upcoming trenchy type rule sets on the market. So we figured, why not jump on the lorry ourselves and see if Slamfire 28 can be adapted to trench lines and no man's land. Fortunately, we have a couple of boxes of neoprene trench terrain tiles from Green Stuff World on the shelf, and some vintage Warzone supply caches from Target Games, allowing us to make a bloody raid the dugout scenario with trenches, artillery, hidden snipers, vermin, and other hazards. I also have some chunky classic Warzone trencher figures and some old metal War Machine figs that seem to fit the alt history World War I setting, and they also match up pretty well with the various World War I archetypes featured in our Slamfire 28 Trench Raiders crew sheet. Of course, there are some pretty cool modern plastics and STL files on the market right now that would certainly fit the bill for this. I think Wargames Atlantic is probably a good place to start when building a World War I inspired squad. Full disclosure, we had some technical difficulties in the last half of this Slamfire 28 Tench Capades battle report. So while the first two turns feature every card draw and every die roll, the final two turns are presented in a quicker narrative style, revealing how the story unfolds, but omitting the die rolls and the chatter. I hope that's okay. Alrighty then, without further delay, let's jump into some Tench Capades, a trenchy alt history World War I scenario for Slamfire 28. Alright, we're going to jump right into gameplay here. This is our Tench Capades scenario, in which there are four ancient dugouts, with stockpiles of juicy loot, and our squads, which are lined up on opposite sides of the table, are going to try to get in there and get one piece of loot from each cache if possible, and then blow up the cache so enemies can't get their hands on it. So we will get one victory point for each unique piece of loot we get, and also one victory point for blowing up a cache. However, the trench lines are guarded by shell-shock flamethrower units known as Charmen, who kind of wander around the trenches trying to incinerate any invaders. So they will kind of stay at their posts or wander, or if they see someone in line of sight, they will go after them. But that is the Charmen. We will briefly try to cover some of the rules as we play the game, but if you'd like a deeper dive into playing Slamfire 28, you can check out our How to Play videos on our Patreon page, which is skirmishhomebrews.com. So check that out if you're interested. Okay, so in squad over here are the Trench Wolves,
led by Sergeant Voss. They have 3 riflemen and a gunner in addition to the sergeant.
Right, so the gunner is kind of a light machine gunner, and he's your special trooper. So the riflemen are pretty good because they are accurate. So if they take an aim action, for example, they get plus 2d6 for their dice pool instead of just the regular plus 1d6. And then on the opposite side of the table, we have the Howling Barguests, and they are led by Sergeant Snell, and they have a sergeant, 3 riflemen, and a sweeper, which is basically a shotgunner. Okay, we're going to start the game by rolling for initiative to see who draws the first activation card. And after that, we will alternate drawing cards, and nobody draws a card twice in a row, even from turn to turn. So, let's see what happens. The Barguests got a 5, and the Wolves got a 2, so the Barguests will draw the first card of the game. So the first card is a black card. That means a fighter. Black cards indicate fighters, red cards are NPCs, and jokers are special events. So this is a fighter. I can choose to activate either one of my fighters or one of Lynn's fighters. I'm going to activate my sergeant, Sergeant Snell, and he is going to get up to the trenches. I may not have him get adjacent to a trench right away, though, because if he's adjacent to a trench, he can see in, and anyone in there can see out. So he's just going to be slightly not adjacent to the trench line. So that is 2 activations. He could spend a Slamfire die and get a 3rd activation if he wanted to, but he's not going to do it at this moment. In this scenario, each of us are going to get 5 Slamfire dice a turn, and that number stays the same from turn to turn, no matter how many casualties we have. Slamfire dice represent, luck, divine favor, bursts of adrenaline, all kinds of things. But basically, you can use them as currency to unlock special actions and things, and also you can spend them to augment a dice pool roll here and there if you need to. So basically it's heroism on tap, but once they're spent for the turn, they're gone. So you have to use them wisely if you want to do things like first aid, if you want to do reactions, if you want to boost a shot or things like that. So we each get 5. I could have spent 1 Slamfire die to get a third action, but I'm not going to do that. So I still have all 5, and that is my activation. All right, so I do my first activation. Now Lynn will draw a card from the activation deck and see what happens.
So the first card I'm drawing is an evil joker.
A joker, that is a special event. So roll 1d6 and see what happens.
A 4.
4 is incoming. So an artillery shell goes screaming into the table zone here. And so we have 6 numbered tiles. You can see these little kind of, what are those, like Scrabble tiles. And they have a number on them. And that will indicate the initial target point of the artillery shell from which it will deviate. If it lands in a trench, the explosion will be contained to the trench. If it lands outside, it won't hurt anybody in the trench. And if it lands right on a dugout, it will probably blow up that dugout. The dugouts are covered, I guess we should mention, so they're kind of like a little box. And we've said you can't walk on the top of the dugout because of mines or barbed wire or bad karma or something. But anyway, so these are covered, but an artillery shell can punch through. Okay.
3. So number 3 is right here.
That's number 3, and it's going to deviate 1d8 inches.
It's going to go 1 inch that way. It doesn't hit anybody.
Okay, so the artillery shell goes screaming in. That would be a 5d6 blast, and it basically shakes the ground, but doesn't hurt anybody, which is good. Okay, that was your activation card. So you didn't get to activate any of your people. You just summoned an artillery shell.
But we got rid of 1 joker.
So I do a black card. That's another fighter. I can either activate one of mine or one of Lynn's. I will activate one of mine and try to get a jump on this game. So I think this rifleman here will make a rapid move. Go 6 inches that way. This is kind of a funky spot here with the edge of the dugout and then this wall, but he's going to treat that as a cautious move, I guess, which should allow him to go over the barrier. So because there's not much room in here, we're going to say he's adjacent to both trench lines. So in his next activation, or in this activation, if he spent a Slamfire die, he could decide to pop in. And gosh, maybe he will. Spend a Slamfire die and do a cautious move and pop into this trench line just for the heck of it. No guts, no glory. So he took a third action and hopped into the trench line. So he's down there in the trenches, which is good because some special events like snipers, if you're in the trenches, you're not subject to them. So that was my activation. I spent 1 Slamfire die. I will put that right there. Lynn will draw a card.
Charman.
1 Charman, 1 NPC. So she gets to activate one of them. There are 6 on the table. You get to pick one, and we'll see what he does.
Let's go with this one over here.
Okay. So this Charman in the back, we're going to see if he goes on patrol or stays at his post. So 1 to 3, he stays at his post. He does. He just hangs out. He senses that something's going on out there in the world, but for right now, he's just hanging back. Okay, my turn to draw an activation card. So Lynn, you haven't activated any of your fighters yet.
No, I have not.
A joker. Okay, so this is a special event. Let's see what happens. 4 is more artillery. So that's going to be number 3 again.
Again.
And
where is it going to go to?
it's going to scatter kind of 2 inches sort of this way. So that would put it about like this. And kind of the rule of thumb is if the center, the dot there, is outside the trenches, then it explodes outside the trenches and nobody is injured. If it had gone over here, it would have punctured the roof of the dugout and probably blown everything up. But it lands right here. It causes a big ruckus, but nobody gets hurt. These guys get dusty back here. They get hit with some dirt, but that's about it. Okay, so that was mine. Now Lynn will draw an activation card.
Hey, I finally get to go.
She gets to activate a fighter.
Okay.
So you're going to activate Sergeant Voss. He's got a pistol and a trench sword.
He's going to do 2 rapid moves.
All right, he's going to move and then move again. Across clear ground, you can make a rapid move.
And he is not going to go adjacent to the trenches because he does not want to get napalmed.
Okay. So he's going to be just a micro measurement away. So Sergeant Voss right here is activated, and that is the first fighter from your squad to activate.
It is. We're just getting the lay of the land.
So I'm activating a fighter. I get to activate another fighter, which is cool. I got a couple guys back here. I guess I'll activate one of these riflemen. And he will kind of just run up, do a rapid move. I will put him right about there. So this rifleman is going right about here. He's going to stay just a little bit away from the trench edge. The idea being when he activates again, he's going to want to use multiple actions to kind of get down to that trench and try to shoot somebody rather than standing on the trench edge and maybe getting torched. So that's what's going on there. All right, that was my activation. Lynn, do you want to draw a card?
Ooh, 2 Charmen.
2 Charmen. So if that had been an ace, it would have been a single Charman. It is now 2 Charmen. Some games where we have more NPCs, we will have red cards in denominations of 1, 2, and 3 in the deck, because you can have up to 12 NPCs. This scenario, because it's kind of tightly enclosed inside the trenches, we only have 6 NPCs, which is why we only have aces and deuces for the red cards in this deck. So a maximum of 6 NPCs. So you're going to pick 2 of these guys, and then they will do their thing.
This one here.
All right.
And this one here.
All right. So this Charman here, let's see if he stands put or goes on patrol. He's just going to stay put. He's just hanging out. And then that one over there.
He's going to go on patrol.
He's going on patrol. So he hears some commotion out there in the world, and so he's going to go ahead and move his 5 and go to right there. He likes to burn things. All right, my activation once again. Black card is another fighter, so I could activate one of my fighters or one of Lynn's fighters, but I'm going to activate one of mine. All right, I think the sweeper is going to be a rascal here. He's going to rapid move this way and over this way. And he's going to spend a Slamfire die to hop into the trench. So, is that a good move or a bad move? We don't know, but it does add another variable to the calculation. So now people have to worry about a shotgunner in the trench. So I've expended 2 Slamfire dice this turn. It means I have 3 left. But since I'm not as worried about putting out fires or first aid or things like that, it's not as important right now. It gets more important later when there's a lot of things that need to be done.
So, for my activation, I get to move another one of my trench wolves.
Looks like you have 2 riflemen and a gunner left, so who is going to activate?
My rifleman here is going to go up to the trench and shoot at the Charman.
So he moved up, that's 1 action.
For a second action, he's going to aim. I'm going to use a Slamfire die to shoot.
So he moved, he aimed, he spent a Slamfire die to shoot, so that gives him, what is it, 3d6 plus 1 for elevation plus 2 for aiming, so 66 against the poor little Charman who's got a defense of just 2d6, I think.
Correct. So 2 hits.
You got 2 successes. Charman blocked both of them. A 5 or 6 is a success. So despite all the odds, you were not able to shoot that Charman.
That is quite unfortunate, because
Well,
now he will get flamed.
Yes, something bad could happen, except that Charman has already activated this turn.
Which is good.
Which is good. Right, my turn to draw a card. I draw another fighter. So I have 1 rifleman left. He's over here. He's going to move his 6. That's a rapid move. And then move up to the trench edge and spend a Slamfire die to jump in, because why not? So he hops into the trench. Was that a wise move? We'll find out. And he's in the trench. All right, Lynn, draw a card.
Now it's my activation. I get to activate a fighter. My gunner is going to move up to the trench and shoot at the Charman.
All right. So the gunner's using 1 action to move. That's a rapid move action. He now has an elevated position. He can shoot the Charman if he wishes, which he's going to do, daka. But unfortunately, light machine gun is minus 1d6 at short range, though you do get plus 1d6 for elevated position, so it's a wash. But you could boost it with some Slamfire dice.
And I can boost it with 1 with a Slamfire die.
So you were shooting with how many?
4d6.
And the Charman is defending with 2. You got 2 successes, and the Charmin got 2 to defend. Yeah.
So we're going to do it again.
So you moved and you shot. That's 2 actions. You can spend a Slamfire die for a 3rd action and shoot again. Do you want to boost it with something?
Yes.
So you're shooting with 46.
Yes.
1 success, and you hit him.
Finally.
So this 1 success becomes an injury die. You go ahead and roll that on the injury table. 2.
2.
Wounded. You wounded him. So that Charmin is wounded. So that means he only gets 1 action on his activations now. If he gets another wounded marker, he will explode, and he has minus 1d6 on all his die rolls. So Lynn activated. I'm going to draw my activation card, and it is another fighter. So since I activated all of my fighters already, I have to activate one of Lynn's. I'm going to choose this guy right here, this rifleman, and what's he going to do?
He is going to run up.
Do a rapid move for 1 action.
And he's going to do a rapid move up to here, but not be in the trench or against it.
Okay, so he's not going to quite get up against the trench line. Because if he's seen, he can be burnt.
So my activation.
Yep, you have 1 fighter left.
And they're going to activate now.
And they're going to activate. All right, so here's your last rifleman. And he's going to move up and try to shoot the Charman, huh?
Yep.
He moved twice, and you're going to spend a Slamfire die to get a 3rd action and shoot.
Yes.
All right. Do you have any Slamfire dice left after that?
No.
So that's your last one for the turn. And you have an elevated position, so you're shooting with plus 1d6 at the Charman.
So 46. And 2 hits.
2 successes. And he only gets 1 because he's injured. And he doesn't block them. So you roll 2 injury dice, take the highest individual die result. A 4. 4 is wounded and knocked down, but because he's been wounded twice, he explodes. Place a 3-inch blast template over him. It is contained to the trench. He goes boom like this in a fireball, but nobody gets hit. So that is the end of that plucky Charmin. So now you've cleared a path. But let me show you what's going on here. It took 3 of your guys here to blow up 1 Charman.
Yes, it did.
You really, really wanted that bunker.
I did.
So let's see what happens next. 1 Charman. Select this one over here, and let's see what he does. And he just stays put anyway, so he's not going to do anything.
Okay.
Which is fine.
So then the last 2.
So 2 more Charmen have not activated. That's 1 right down here, and then 1 on this end of the board.
I'm going to activate this one.
All right, the closer one. Let's roll to see what he does. He goes on patrol, so he's going to move 5 inches out into the trench. So he is on patrol. And then there's the last one over here, way in the far corner, and he's on patrol. So he's going to venture out into the world and see what's going on. Okay, so that is the end of turn 1. We replenish our stockpile of Slamfire dice, which is good. I believe it's my turn to draw a card from the activation deck. There should be 1 less Charman in there now. A Joker. Let's see what happens. 5. Okay, 5 is vermin. Is anybody prone? Nobody's prone, so no vermin. If there was a prone fighter on the table, or more than one, they would be attacked by giant mites, or cockroaches, or carnivorous rats, or things like that. But nobody's prone, so nobody's lying in the muck, and so that's good. No mite bites for our fighters. And Lynn draws 1 Charman for her activation.
Oh, we got to take all these off.
We got ahead of ourselves. We didn't remove our activation tokens, so we will do that now. We were so eager to get into turn 2 that we didn't do our housekeeping.
If someone's in a line of sight, they're going to go in that direction, correct?
Yeah. So with the Charmin, if they can see somebody, if someone's in line of sight, either in a trench or on a trench edge, they will go after them. The Charmin will not leave the trenches. That's their home. So you can activate that guy right there.
Yep. And they move 5.
And he will move 5 toward the nearest visible opponent, which is this sweeper down here that belongs to me. So the Charman moves up. We need to measure to see if he's within 8 inches. Yeah, I'd say just barely. So basically, this Charman picks a spot. He wants to hit this guy over here. You draw a line, and anybody whose base intersects that line is set on fire, plus there is a template at the end, and anybody under the template is set on fire. So this sweeper over here is set on fire by the Charman. So now he's on fire, and he will have to decide how to deal with that situation on his activation. He can try to put it out, or someone else can try to put it out, but for the moment he's on fire. All right, so I guess it's my activation.
It is.
So I will draw a card from the activation deck, and it is a fighter. This shotgunner here, this sweeper, is going to spend a cautious move to get out of the trenches, taking his fire with him. Then he will slightly move away from the trench line so he's not adjacent. That is another move. Then he's going to spend 2 Slamfire dice, one to give him a third action, and another one to allow him to do a special action, Extinguish Fire. And Lynn reminded me that he is within 6 inches and line of sight of his sergeant, so that's going to give him a buff on his neck roll. That's pretty handy. Thanks for reminding me about that.
You're welcome.
You probably saved his life. So the sweeper's knack is 2d6, plus he gets an additional 1d6 because he happens to be within 6 inches of his sergeant, so that's cool. So he's going to roll 3d6 and try to get 1 success to put out the fire. So he needs at least 1 5 or 6, which he does not get. So he falls over, because when you try to extinguish fire, whether you're successful or not, you fall over, and he's still on fire. So that is the end of his activation, and unfortunately that means he needs to make a 4d6 mishap check because of the flames.
He's fine.
And he didn't get any 1s, so that's cool. So he didn't suffer any mishaps. So he's on fire, and he's prone, and he spent 2 Slamfire dice, but he didn't burn up. So I guess that's a victory, sort of.
And he got out of the trench, so he's not in line of fire.
Yeah, and he's out of the trench, so we don't have to worry about these guys. So you can only have 1 fire token at a time, so they can't burn him any more than they're already burning him. Okay, so that is my activation. Lynn, go ahead.
2.
2 Charmen activate. So there's 1 there, there's 1 there, there's 1 over there, there's 1 back there.
Let's activate this one.
Okay. So this Charman here needs to activate. So can he see anybody? No. No one's in line of sight. So we roll to see what he does. 1. He's going to return to his post. So he's going to move back to where he started from.
That's where he started from.
Oh, he hasn't moved yet. So he's just going to hang out right there. So he hasn't been patrolling, so he's going to hang out right where he is. So there's 1 Charman here, 1 Charman here, and then 1 over here, and you get to pick one of them.
Let's choose this one over here.
All right. Let's see what he does.
He returns to his post.
He's going to return to his post. So he's just going to move back. Nothing going on out here. Must have been the wind.
Or he heard a kerfluffle and decided he needed to get back to his base to protect his horde.
He smells the faint whiff of burning flesh and decides, I'm going back in the dugout.
Your turn.
My turn to draw a card. The Joker.
This could be bad.
So let's see what happens. 3 is artillery. So let's see where it lands. 1. 1 is over here. Let's see where it scatters. And it scatters 6 inches back this way. So we rolled for scatter. The artillery shell is going to land kind of right here. It's going to punch through the roof of that dugout. If the shell lands directly in a trench, the blast is confined to the trench network. If it lands directly in a dugout, the dugout roof is destroyed and the supply cache inside detonates in a separate explosion. So the shell hits the dugout, and that's a 5d6 blast. You want to roll for the poor Charman? He's defending with 2d6.
Okay.
So it's 4 successes.
So 3 of them.
So yeah, so roll 3 dice for his injury roll. He blows up. And the cache also blows up. Whatever vital ancient loot this was that was going to help the war effort, none of us get it. And this is just a big smoldering crater. Could have been worse. Could have been one of us.
Yeah. I thought it was going to land on your captain there for a minute.
Well, That would have been bad.
That would have been bad.
All right, so that is the Joker. So I guess you get to draw an activation card.
Maybe I'll get a turn. Yay! I get to activate one of my guys.
All right, so you're going to move this Rifleman right here, right?
Yep, I'm going to move the Rifleman. Rifleman's going to jump in the trench.
Spend one action to get into the trench.
Rapid movement to get up to the cache.
And then he's going to move up to the cache. And you can spend a Slamfire die to do an interact action and pull one piece of loot out of the cache.
So I'm going to do that. I'm going to use one Slamfire die to pick up that piece of loot.
So this guy gets a precious piece of loot that was left in that cache probably centuries ago, because this war has been going on for generations and no one really remembers how it started or why they're even fighting. But they do know they want that, so they have it. So, my turn to draw a card.
Yes.
I'm drawing 2 Charmen. So only one left, that's this guy over here, because the other ones have been killed. Let's see if he goes on patrol or if he's just hanging out. Patrol, he's going to patrol. So we're going to roll randomly. We'll say 1, 2, 3 going back this way, 4, 5, 6 going this way. He's going to move forward his 5 and go like this. Now, does he have line of sight? Yeah, I would say he's got line of sight on this guy here. You can see him around the corner. So he's got one more action. He's going to use his flamethrower on this Rifleman back here. The template is going to overlap this other Rifleman, so both of them get some napalm. So they both get set on fire. It's very sad. And this Charman is like, ha ha ha.
Do not come after my loot.
Well, stuff is happening. So that was my draw, so you get to draw.
I get to activate.
Activate a fighter.
So this Rifleman here is going to move up to the trench, take aim at the Charman over here, and use a Slamfire die to shoot. So my Rifleman has 3 for his shoot skill, 1 for elevated position, and 2 for aim.
Okay, so that's 6. The poor little Charman is defending with 2d6, but he's done it before.
4.
4 successes. He's probably not going to defend all those. He blocks 1, so you roll 3 dice, 3 injury dice, because you had 3 unblocked successes, and see what happens. 6, he blows up. So he goes boom. He doesn't take out the other Charman, which would have been interesting, but he does blow up. So he goes away. So Lynn asked, do they always blow up when they die? And the answer is yes, because they're using primitive, obsolete, or poorly maintained flamethrowers that they've had for generations. And so they're leaking all over the place. Kill them, and they basically just go boom.
Yeah, the spark from the rifle shot.
Right.
Okay, you are up.
So on the table, there's still 1, 2, 3 Charmen left. 1 was shot, 1 was exploded by an artillery shell, and I forget what happened to the other one, but anyway. A fighter, so I get to activate one of my fighters. So I think I'm going to activate this Rifleman here. So this Rifleman here is going to shoot at the Charman over here. The Charman is going to get some obscuring cover from that corner, but the Rifleman is going to aim first. He's going to spend 1 action to aim, which gives him a buff of plus 2d6. The Charman will get plus 1d6 on his defense because of the cover. And so the Rifleman's shooting with 5d6 versus 3d6. Is that about right?
Mm-hmm.
Gets 2 successes. And the Charman doesn't block any of them. So that's 2 injury dice. And the Charman blows up. So he goes boom. Now, the Rifleman is going to spend a Slamfire die for a 3rd action, and then another one to allow him to do a special action so that he can attempt to extinguish fire. Now, because he's in the trench and the Sergeant is not, I don't think he gets his bonus. So he just needs a 5 or a 6 to extinguish the flames. And he does. But he also falls over in the process because he's rolling around in the dirt, and who wouldn't under those circumstances?
That's how he extinguished his fire.
Yeah. I think I'll roll around in the muck. I'm on fire, so in the muck I shall roll, and so that's what he did. So this guy is still on fire over here, but this guy is not. So that's good. All right, well that was a decent turn.
Okay, now we have A fighter.
Lynn activates a fighter. All right, so Sergeant here is going to do what?
My sergeant is going to run down here with a rapid move.
Okay.
Climb into the trench.
Right, with a cautious move.
With a cautious move. Use a Slamfire die to run over to the cache and hide in the corner.
All right, so he's going to run over to the cache, and that's
hide in the corner.
all he can do.
That's all he can do. But he's hidden in the corner.
All right, so he's out of line of sight for any of these knuckleheads who might be roaming around. So he's getting ready to pick up some precious loot. It would be a shame if artillery landed in that dugout.
It would.
All right, so that's your activation. I'm drawing a card. I get a fighter. This sweeper here is going to crawl to the edge of the trench. That's one action. He is going to fall in as a free action, but he's got to make a mishap check. Mishap check. He does not get injured on the way down. And he's going to spend the last Slamfire die to extinguish fire. You can do that when you're prone. He has a knack of 2d6, so he needs a 5 or a 6 for this whole endeavor to be worthwhile. And he doesn't get it, so he's still on fire. So since he's still on fire at the end of his activation, he's got to roll a 4d6 mishap check. And he does get one mishap, which is going to be a 5, which is not good. Mangled and knocked down. So he is mangled by the flames. He's horribly scorched. So he's in a bad way. All right, Lynn, draw your activation card. A fighter.
So my rifleman is going to take 2 rapid moves to get to the trench.
Okay.
Then he is going to use a Slamfire die to shoot.
So he did 2 actions. He's spending a Slamfire die for a 3rd action, and he's going to shoot. He gets plus 1d6 because of elevated position. So that is
46.
46 versus 2 on the defense.
Right. 1.
1 success. No defense.
That's good.
So roll 1d6 for the injury die, and he blows up. So he goes kaboom and blows up, and that's the end of him.
Okay, good.
All right. Running out of charmen. So
Your turn.
I will draw a card. A fighter. I have 2 fighters left, but I don't have any Slamfire dice. I'm going to do a risky move here. This rifleman is going to move up to the trench. That's 1 action. Move into the trench. That's his 2nd action. And because I don't have any more Slamfire dice, I can't take a 3rd action. I will just have to hope that on a future turn, this guy activates sooner than this guy so that he can shoot him. That's just the way it's going to have to be. All right, so that was my activation. You get to draw a card. It's a fighter.
So I've only got 1 left, and that is my gunner.
So he's going to make a rapid move and a cautious move. And another cautious move to get to the edge of the trench, huh?
He didn't quite make it to the edge of the trench.
Okay, so he's back a little bit. So he's kind of walking through the difficult terrain, but he's not quite to the edge of the trench. All right, 2 cards remain. A fighter. So I have a rifleman here who's on fire. He cannot try to put himself out because he doesn't have any Slamfire dice. But he can try to shoot somebody. So he's going to move 6, like so. Try to shoot this rifleman who's up here on the edge. Now I don't get any bonus for aiming, and I don't get any bonus for elevated position, so he's just shooting with 3d6.
My defense is 3d6. I will buff it to 4d6.
The rifleman is shooting at 3d6, and you're defending with 4. Let's see what happens. 2 successes, and you blocked 3, so nothing happens.
Okay. So just your sergeant left.
So my sergeant right here is going to activate. What's he going to do? So the sergeant right here will move a rapid move to get to the edge of the trench, and he will shoot across the trench at the rifleman. His shoot skill is 3d6. There's no bonus because he's just shooting a pistol. Let's see what happens. What are you defending with?
3d6.
And no successes. So
yay.
That is the end of the turn. That is the end of turn 2, and we go screaming into turn 3 where things are heating up and resentments are bubbling to the surface. Okay, we're heading into turn 3, And we're down to one Charman. Only one flamethrower NPC remains. And on the table, I believe, Lynn, one of your riflemen, has a piece of loot. And that's it. Your sergeant is about to get a piece of loot, but everyone else is lootless at this point. Okay, folks, at this stage of recording, one of our microphones cut out. So instead of showing every card draw and every die roll, I will just deliver a quick recap of how the story played out in turns 3 and 4. At the top of turn 3, one of the Howling Barghest riflemen shoots the last Charman on the table, causing the Trench Guardian to explode. Fortunately, though, the fiery blast does not detonate the adjacent supply cache, leaving it ripe for the picking. On the next activation, Sergeant Voss of the Trench Wolves extracts a piece of ancient loot from a different dugout, hauling the swag out of the trench line by making 2 cautious moves. This gives the Trench Wolves another precious victory point if they can hold on to that plunder. Next, a plucky Trench Wolf rifleman fires twice at Sergeant Snell of the Howling Barghests, who is standing defiantly on the opposite side of the trench line. Both rifle shots miss, however. Sergeant Snell responds by lobbing 2 grenades across the trench. One blast grazes a Trench Wolf rifleman, but causes no damage. The second grenade scatters off target. Another Trench Wolf rifleman moves up to the edge of the trench line and takes 2 shots at the Howling Barghest sweeper, who is lying prone and mangled in the trench. One bullet finds its mark, putting the mangled shotgunner out of his misery. The next activation card is a Joker, which summons a horde of vermin to attack the one and only prone fighter on the table, a Howling Barghest rifleman. Fortunately, the soldier is able to repel the assault and avoid injury. The first Joker is followed immediately by the second Joker, which results in an artillery shell striking the upper left quadrant of the table. The massive blast shakes the ground and spews dirt into the air, but causes no casualties. Next, a Howling Barghest rifleman races along the trench to the nearest dugout and shoots at a Trench Wolf rifleman who is lugging a piece of loot. The shot fails to hit its mark, however. The Trench Wolf rifleman responds by firing twice, missing both times and earning himself a reload token in the process. On the next activation, a prone Howling Barghest rifleman stands and hauls himself out of the trench, spending a Slamfire die to fire at the Trench Wolf gunner, who manages to evade the shot. The gunner then moves back to the edge of the trench line and lines up a burst against an enemy rifleman who is blocking a nearby dugout entrance. The gunner rains fire into the trench, but unfortunately does not hit anything meaty. Going into turn 4, the Howling Barghests have suffered 1 casualty and have gathered no loot, while the Trench Wolves are still at full strength and have 2 pieces of precious swag. To protect his prize, a Trench Wolf rifleman blazes away at the opposing soldier blocking the dugout entrance, but scores no hits due to some excellent defense rolls. The Howling Barghest rifleman returns fire, also missing. It appears the attack dice have gone cold for both squads, while the defense dice are running red hot. That's just the way it goes sometimes. Of course, right after I say that, the Trench Wolf gunner opens up with his light machine gun, killing Sergeant Snell with 1 burst, and wounding a Howling Barghest rifleman with another. Daka daka daka. Now the Howling Barghests are down to just 3 fighters on the table, one of whom is injured. Good grief. Undeterred by the carnage nearby, one of the remaining Howling Barghest riflemen sprints into a dugout and seizes a bit of ancient loot from the scorched but unguarded supply cache. This means that the Barghests finally have a victory point if they can hold on to the goods. Now things really get bloody. The next card is a Joker, which unleashes a flurry of shots from distant hidden snipers who target any upright fighters not currently protected within the trenches. Unfortunately for the Trench Wolves, currently 4 of their fighters are out in the open, making them subject to sniper fire. During the slaughter that follows, the Trench Wolf gunner is knocked down and mangled by a sniper's bullet. Simultaneously, a Trench Wolf rifleman survives a near miss as a round pings off his helmet but causes no damage. Then tragically, Sergeant Voss of the Trench Wolves is fatally struck by a sniper's bullet, removing him from play and forcing him to drop his hard-won piece of loot. Oh, the humanity! Finally, another rifleman is very nearly hit by a sniper round. The bullet perforates his greatcoat, but does not strike anything vital. Next, the final unactivated fighter for the Howling Barghests takes a stand action and self-administers first aid to remove his wounded status. Then he shoots at an enemy rifleman across the trench line, because why not, but does not hit anything. The targeted rifleman ignores the attack and, keeping his eye on the prize, races over to reacquire the precious swag dropped by the recently deceased Sergeant Voss. This means that the Trench Wolves are now again in possession of 2 loots. As there are no unactivated Barghests left on the table, the final Trench Wolf rifleman activates, fires 2 shots at the opposing rifleman within his line of sight, mangling the enemy soldier with a well-placed bullet. Ouch! That is the final activation of turn 4 and of the game. When the dust settles, the Howling Barghests have suffered 3 casualties, including Sergeant Snell, and the surviving squad members are in possession of a single piece of loot. So the cost of this mission was very high. The Trench Wolves are in somewhat better shape, having only lost their leader, Sergeant Voss, who was taken out by sniper fire. And they have 2 pieces of loot in their possession at game's end, making Team Trench Wolf the winner of today's contest. Go Wolves! Alright folks, that's a brutal playthrough of our Slamfire 28 Tench Capades scenario, which is now available at skirmishhomebrews.com, our Patreon page. So you can check that out if you're interested. Thanks very much for stopping by. We're glad to be back and we're glad you're here. Take care of yourselves. We'll see you next time.